David Moyes has got money to spend in January, should he survive Arsenal, Brentford and Leeds. If he's still in the job come January, he's got some money to spend. He's not going to be the same as the £180 million that he had to spend in the summer, but there's some there. And I understand he's going to need to be cautious with it. His decision-making and his final decisions got to be very, very good. I totally get that. However, there's been some real contradictory messaging coming out from the club and possibly even from him as well. And some of it's quite worrying and makes no sense at all. And I would hope that someone else has spotted this. I don't think David Moyes is watching this video, but I would hope that someone at the club or someone close to him is going to point out the folly of what he's doing. And when I tell you what he's doing, it's going to come as no surprise at all. But I think the contradiction of it is really worrying, is really concerning, is quite dangerous for West Ham, particularly in terms of recruitment. I'll get to that in just a second. Before I do, I need to ask a favour from you. And it's a favour for a friend of mine who's got terminal cancer. Well, I say it's a favour for him. It's not really for him. It's a fundraiser. It's not going to help him. Unfortunately, it's my very dear friend Alan, who's got a very rare form of sarcoma. So rare that the specialist at the Royal Marsden Hospital, which is the biggest main cancer hospital in the country, has only ever seen this form of cancer twice. And Alan's the second one in many respects, and that's in his whole career, by the way. In many respects, Alan's a surprise to a lot of the people there. He's a bit of a guinea pig. But it's a fundraiser, not for Alan, because there's not a lot that can be done, unfortunately. However, it is for more research into the future and to do more research for this rare form of sarcoma. So if anybody does get it in the future, there's not such a surprise, and hopefully they can sort of work on something. Alan's a great guy, and I did think long and hard before doing this video, and because I know times are hard, basically. But I'll put the link in the description below underneath. If anybody could even just go and give £1 and leave a nice message, and that would mean the world to Alan. And I was with him 2 weeks ago, and it was really something he said that drove it home to me, which we go to a pinball event called Pinfest, which is like a big pinball event each year. And we were talking about going next year, and Alan turned around to me and said, "I'm not sure I'll be making it next year. I'm not sure I'll be able to. I'm not sure I should book a room. I don't think I'll be around." He was talking about something else where he'd ordered something pinball related, and he was saying, "I hope it arrives before I pop my clogs," basically. And to hear him speak like that is terrible. It's a terrible, terrible thing. And I'm in absolute awe of him that he's able to carry on each day as he does. With that level of uncertainty. As I say, radiotherapy won't stop it. Chemotherapy, it won't get rid of it. All it's doing is buying himself a little bit of time. So Alan's a great guy, but the charity means a lot to him. It says everything about Alan, that he just would like to try and fundraise for people in the future, even though it's unable to help him. The link's in the description below. It's called a gastronomic Saturday night. Okay, if you actually, it's on Just Giving, so it's www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Gastro Saturday. That's just in case you can't find it. I'll put the link in the description below. Anything you can do to help would be very, very much appreciated. I mean, certainly by myself, and most definitely by Alan. Thank you very much. And honestly, sorry for asking, but I thought, do you know what? I just thought I got this. I speak to a number of you each and every day, and I looked at the Just Giving page. Thought, you know what? This seems like the right thing to do. So thank you in advance, anyway. Back on to David Moyes. It's not going to surprise you to hear that he's being cautious with the money. And here's where it doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense at all. I understand the concept of being cautious with the money. He's got a set amount of money. It's where he gets this moniker from, Dithering Dave. He said, you get the impression, or it's been said, he will treat your money like it's his own. He will treat the club's money like it's his own, so he's very careful to spend it. However, it doesn't make sense. I'll give you the example. We'll go out with 3 examples. One of them is a player we bought. One of them is a player we didn't buy, but we had on loan. Another one is a player we just didn't buy. Nikola Vlasic. Nikola Vlasic is... we're going to lose about 15 million on this player. That's a hell of a lot of money. And Okay, that's a bad loss. However, we hear time and time again that David Moyes will not push a deal forward because it becomes too expensive. So, Amadou Onana, David Moyes really wanted him. I think he looks like a good player. Apparently, we were in for him at 100 grand a week. The moment it went to 125 grand a week, David Moyes said, I'm out. The reason he said I'm out, he said it's too rich. It's too rich for my tastes. I cannot justify this amount. I want to save the club some money. I get that and it makes sense, but it's not consistent with the other stuff. Because you might be saving 25 grand a week on the Onana deal, but you've just lost 15 million on Vlasic. I mean, it's going to take a lot of 25 grand a week to get to that 15 million, right? So on one hand, he's cautious. On the other hand, he's reckless with the money. The other player is Jesse Lingard. Now, I don't want Jesse Lingard. I did. All right, okay. I'm not saying that I regret we didn't sign Jesse Lingard. Just before anyone jumps up in the chat, can't believe you want Jesse Lingard, Gonzo, right? I didn't. But the point is, David Moyes wanted him, and the reason we didn't get him, was because he wasn't prepared to match Nottingham Forest's money. Basically, over a 3-year deal, we were prepared to offer 23 million to Jesse Lingard. Apparently, Jesse Lingard would have done a deal at 30. That's 30 million pounds, 10 million a year. So the difference is 7 million. You can see where I'm going with this. Okay, fine. So he thinks he's saved 7 million. But look at what he's lost on Vlasic. And it's not just Vlasic. And this has really been quite frustrating. And I say this having earlier on today watched Lucas Paqueta play for Brazil, and he didn't come out for the second half. So he was subbed in the first game, didn't come out in the second half. Got to say, I mean, there were a few touches, there were a few tricks and flicks. He wasn't brilliant, Paqueta. He wasn't brilliant. And I looked at it, is that player worth £50 million? I think we might have paid 52, something like that. We call it 50. Has his value depreciated? Yes. Yes. It would not surprise you, bearing in mind what's happened, if we sold him at a loss. I've said this before. We take a £25 million hit on Sebastian Haller. Now, if David Moyes was really so concerned about the club's finances, he would have known what Haller cost. He would have thought, okay, this is the club's finances here. I'm going to try and make sure that I incorporate this player. And so even if we do sell him, I'm selling him at a premium. And I just find it weird that, and it's not the only time we hear that he wants to save money because he thinks wages are too expensive. I just find it weird that he'll lose £26 million on Sebastian Haller, £15 million on Nikola Vlasic. And that's okay. Yet he'll sit there in negotiations for a player's wages and squabble about £20,000 a week. They'll squabble about 250k extra for the agent, which, by the way, I know has happened. The whole thing doesn't make sense. What's Lucas Paqueta worth now? Don't know. Not 50 million. Not on his showing for West Ham and not on his showing for Brazil. Massive, massive losses. And it's not just him. If we were to try and sell Cornet now, would we get 17 million? Would we heck? Kehrer, okay. I mean, he's an easy one to pick on, Kehrer. But to be fair, we only paid 10 million. That's fine. But you would have to say, you look at these players, Scamacca, it depends. It depends. I think Scamacca's a difficult one because I think we've seen a really good patch of form and then we've seen a crap patch of form. 35 million, I'm not so sure. I don't think we'd get 35 from him. And it defies belief and it lacks any sort of consistency that this philosophy that David Moyes has got of saving money, there's an old saying, take care of the pennies and the pounds take care of themselves. What that means is if you're watching the small amounts of money, don't worry about it. If you're thrifty and you're careful with all the small change, then just by association, just by the natural flow of the way you handle money, the big money will take care of itself. Don't worry about it. Basically, you're not losing anything. Nothing escapes your notice. David Moyes got it the other way round. He really has. The stuff that's important, he doesn't care about. He's absolutely... So it's almost like he's very, very careful with the small change. And I wonder if you look back at it and think, oh, do you know what? I did really well there. I saved £7 million, saved up £7 million on Jesse Lingard. Oh, and do you know what? I might have saved him another £5 million on Onana. Oh, great. Because you've lost more than that on Vlasic alone. You lost tons on Sebastian Haller. I know it wasn't his purchase. I really do. But do you understand? It doesn't make sense. You're either frugal and thrifty or you're not. And it just seems to happen when it suits him. It's almost like the wages are one thing and he views transfer fees as another. It's almost like the transfer fees don't affect him. They don't impact him. It's only the wages. I think it's absolutely crazy. Anyway, so I for all those reasons, and there are other examples. I know people in the chat will pick up other examples of where he's lost wages where he's lost money, where he's depreciated players' values. But also people will come up with other examples of where he's haggled to such an extent he's lost out on players. There's loads of them. There's loads of examples of this happening. So it worries me. When I see the news coming out, David Moyes has got, I don't know how much it is. We said 20 million the other day. I'm guessing at that. David Moyes has got some money to spend in January. As I said, I would like it to be a right back personally. But then I also hear coming out, he's going to be careful with the money. He's not going to be reckless with it. What? Well, this is crazy. Honestly, this is like somebody who's got who's going to be on some massive bender, who's been binge drinking for a week, who's then turning around afterwards saying, "Oh, you know what? I'm watching myself at the moment. I'm trying not to drink too much, so I'll just have a shandy." It doesn't matter. Look at what you've done. He's wasted so much already. Anyway, let me know what you think. Once again, I'd really appreciate it if you try and click the link below, have a look on the Just Giving page, donate a couple of pence to Alan. It'd be very, very much appreciated. Thank you.